Hello and welcome to I Talk to Ghosts, the podcast that knows that spooky can come in really small packages. I'm your haunted host, Jennifer, a spirit medium and a teller of ghost stories. Tonight, I'm going to share with you ghostly tales of haunted dolls. One of my favorite subjects. I do not know why. I find the stories completely terrifying, and I also find myself in real life collecting dolls that very well could have some attachments to them. After the stories, stay for a new in-studio spirit reading with my podcast guest, as well as join me at my seance table for a message from the spirits. I create a space to call a spirit close with the intention that there will be a connection and a message for someone listening to the podcast. And since you're listening, this message could be for you. That's later on in the podcast. But first, the darling spooky. The haunted dolls are ready to cuddle right now. This occurrence is the earliest memory I had as a child of something I didn't understand. I was born in 1977, 4 minutes later than my identical twin sister. When we were 5 years old, we each got a doll for Christmas. My sister's doll had a red satin dress, and mine wore a satin blue dress. When you tilted them back, they cried, and their eyes would close. Tilt them forward, and their eyes would open. One weekend, we were playing on our parents' bed. The bed was made. My mom made sure to make her bed every single morning, and the blankets were always perfect and smooth. The comforter was tucked neatly under the pillows, and the end was tucked tightly between the mattress and the floorboard. To a couple of 5-year-olds, this bed felt huge. We had plenty of room to color, draw, or to play with our dolls. My mom was outside hanging clothes to dry, leaving us inside to play together. We were playing in her room, on top of the bed, and on top of the covers. We had been coloring on the bed, and my sister's doll was keeping us company. At one point, we both decided we needed to use the bathroom, so we left the room together. We had left behind the paper, the crayons, and her doll. We were gone 2 or 3 minutes at the most. We re-entered the bedroom at the same time, and my sister asked me what I had done with her doll. I told her I hadn't done anything with her. We both looked on the bed, and the doll wasn't there. We looked on the floor, and she wasn't there. We climbed back on the bed that looked no different than when we left, except for the doll being gone. While moving around, I discovered a lump at the foot of the bed. I slowly got onto the floor and lifted the comforter, but I couldn't see the doll. I lifted up the top sheet. Still, I couldn't see the doll. I pulled the fitted sheet from under the mattress, reached underneath, and pulled the doll out. She was under the fitted sheet. I had to practically unmake the bed to get her out. We ran to the back door only to find our mother halfway down the clothesline, still hanging out clothes. As children, we accused each other of hiding the doll. I knew I didn't do it, and she knew she didn't do it. But in our minds, we were the only ones that could have done it. It wasn't until we were half grown that we looked back at this encounter and realized that neither of us had hidden that doll. I lived 2 houses down from my grandmother, who lived in that house for well over 30 years, and I am now 31. In the basement were 2 bedrooms. These bedrooms had an adjoining closet that you could slide open and walk into the other room. One of my aunts lived with my grandmother in one of these bedrooms. My aunt had a love for collecting dolls. Not just any dolls, but clown dolls. Well, my aunt has a 4-foot porcelain face clown doll that has a creepy smile on its face. When I was younger, I had to sleep in the opposite room, and the 2 doors on that closet had been removed, so I got a pretty good view of the creepy clown doll while sleeping down there. One night, when I was 15, I stayed the night, and the doll was on the left side of the other room. It had stormed pretty badly that night, and I swear I had seen that doll in different places with every flash of lightning. And when I woke up the next morning, it was on the right side of that room, just 2 feet from the closet, sitting in a position where it was staring at me with that creepy smile. To this day, the doll is still down there, and even my mom has admitted that she thinks that doll has moved from time to time. And as long as that doll is still there, I refuse to go down there alone, ever again. Do you have a personal ghost story to tell? Come join me on my podcast. Tell me your unexplainable, spooky experience, and we'll record it together to share on a future episode. Visit italktoghosts.com/contact for more details. I can't wait to hear your story. Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. My guest this evening is Erick. Erick, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing this evening?
Doing good. Thank you so much for having me on. I've been listening for a few months now.
Oh, I'm so glad. So you kind of know how I work and how things go. Just opening up the space, it does feel like there are multiple people here for you. And there's personality types coming through. So I'm just going to dive in to the impressions that I am getting and what I'm being shown. Can I ask you if your family is a little intense?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that intense in their own different ways, I'm getting, it's almost as if they pick a subject and then they fixate on that. Like, yes. Say, frugality or making money or, things like that. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, very much.
Okay. So with that coming in, wow, I almost don't know where to start because I'm getting all these different details. Was there a family rift somewhere where 2 people at least were not talking to each other?
That happened a lot with my family.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
That was a common occurrence with my family, not talking for a long time, then talking again, then not talking again.
Yeah. I'm picking up specifically 2 women. It feels like perhaps they were sisters, so they're older than you. Maybe that's aunts or grandmother and her sister, something like that.
My 2 aunts are living, but my grandmother passed away.
Okay. Did she have a sister, or was she involved with these rifts?
She was in the middle of it a lot between, my aunts and my father.
Okay. Your grandmother feels like a very generous woman.
Yeah.
Like she had a heart to her.
Yeah.
Was there something special that she made for the family? It feels like it was hers, and it seems very special.
It's a dessert called sagmi. No, I'm sorry, biyogo, I'm sorry.
Okay, what is that?
It's basically noodles, milk, and a lot of cottage cheese, and it's just basically sugar and noodles.
Okay, that's why it's coming off as sweet. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, it just feels very special. And it's almost like presenting it to you. And it's an honor to get it from her.
Yeah.
Okay. But a lot of love in there. A lot of love. Are you aware of a lot of hardships in her life? It feels like there was a breaking of a foundation or something like that.
Yeah, there was hardships. Yeah, a lot.
It feels like loss, like the loss of family members.
Yeah, both her husband, her sister, and my dad passed away before she did. So that was, you can imagine what that's like for a parent. He was an adult, but still, having your child pass away before you is never good.
Mm-hmm. It feels as if we're talking about losing a child, not an adult. It did wound her in that way. Her children are very special, and she couldn't help but always see the child in them.
Yeah, wow, yeah. When my dad passed away, she was telling stories about how she used to play with him when he was a little kid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's preserved. That memory is preserved. And she is saying that she got her own childhood by living vicariously through her children.
I could see that, yeah.
And that's why it was all the more precious to her.
That would make sense, yeah, because within the Romani people, or we don't call ourselves that, I'm just going to say gypsies, you tend to get married at an earlier age, like sometimes teens to 20s, mostly teens, especially her generation. So I could see that, yeah.
Okay. I feel like someone in your family, I'm not sure if this is related to your dad or not, but it's popping up. Did he have a lot of cars, or was there an old truck or something like that? Like,
no,
who collect?
he was a car guy, yeah.
Car collector.
He was known for, he had a lot of Corvettes throughout his life.
Okay.
Yeah, he was known for being a car guy.
Okay. And again, that ties into that intensity, like picking one thing and kind of going with it and just going, oh, yeah. And then Corvettes, it's that draw there. It might feel a little cliche, but did he have a red one? Did he prefer the red Corvette?
He did have a red one, yeah.
Okay.
A Stingray, an old one.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Another thing that is coming in for me, this happened earlier when I was thinking about our session. I was smelling like old books. Imagine going into someone's house and just smelling, that kind of dust paper smell. Can you connect that?
That would be me. I collect old books.
Okay.
Yeah, like you can't see them now because they're all in plastic things, but I love collecting. This is old 90s and early 2000s YA horror books like Fear Street, stuff like that. And I do like the smell. I think everybody likes the smell of old books. There's just something about that.
Agreed. Can I ask you if you do some writing as well?
Oh, I'm a screenwriter. Yeah, I'm a filmmaker.
Okay. Yeah, because both of those things were coming in kind of hand in hand. So I think what happens with that is I'm thinking of you, I'm thinking about the reading coming up, the sensory input starts coming in, and there's this subtle shift between doing psychic work and mediumship, and it's all together. So it's always interesting when those little blends happen. Okay. Well, I feel like there are so many different threads I can follow, but I want to stay here for now, and I do want to give your dad some space and just see what comes in with him.
Yeah.
Did he have a little bit of a short fuse?
Oh my God. Give me a minute.
He wants to acknowledge that, how short it was, like snapping the fingers. And
Yeah.
that's terrifying. I'm sorry. He wants to come forward and offer that I talk about clarity a lot when someone passes over, and he is certainly offering that he sees that now, and how he's offering this not as an excuse. Did something traumatic happen to him? Okay, what was it?
He was adopted and didn't find out till he was much older, I think in his teens, I want to say, or maybe early 20s, but definitely early, like 20s or teens, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Because he's kind of offering that these traumatic events, and also he's saying there was just something in him. To me, it feels like sandpaper on my nerves. His internal environment feels very frayed. And so he didn't have the ability to, there was no soothing with him, is what he's saying.
I think that's just because of the generation he was raised with,
Yeah.
It wasn't parents during his time. It wasn't touchy-feely, like, how do you feel? It was,
Yeah. There wasn't the environment for self-awareness and for self-care. And yeah, I completely understand what you mean, that it just, those resources weren't available, nor did it occur to anyone. And if it was suggested, it was very much pushed away.
Yeah.
But know that he's fully acknowledging how he was and how damaging it is. And that if you can see him as a whole, that hopefully, just not as an excuse, but if it could soften it for you a little, as, seeing a human being with their flaws and how it had nothing to do with you. You know what I mean?
Two things. 2 years ago, I started going down that road because, again, I'll be honest. He was emotionally and physically abusive to my grandmother, and emotionally and verbally abusive to me. And, I still have arguments with him in my mind about stuff and replaying things. But 2 years ago, last year, I started going down this road of understanding that he was a hurt person. That old saying, hurt people hurt people. And, when I got on here, I was thinking, is my dad going to come through? I was wondering about that. Then when you said that, people, this is real. Wow. No, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. This is, wow.
Yeah, I think, let me just honestly say, let's just have this conversation here, that the things that you had to go through in life have made you such an understanding person, and you are very easy to talk to because of that. You've taken something that could have made you hard and callous and short-tempered yourself, and it's okay, if we're not perfect, we all have our moments, right?
Yeah.
But instead of becoming that hardened person, you are so warm and approachable, and that is so honorable and wonderful to see. And someone should acknowledge that for you and let you know that, oh my gosh, you've done it. You've gotten through this and you're better. There's just so much beauty to that. And someone needs to tell you that.
Thank you. It's funny you talk about approachable, because I've had this weird thing that sometimes when I just going about my day and I'll talk to someone, people feel the need to tell me their life story. No joke. A few months ago, I was going to the library and this lady asked, do they print stuff there? Now, I was expecting just the simple, yeah, they do. And she went into how stuff about her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend that doesn't want to do anything. And it was this whole big conversation. And then a few years ago, I'm at Walmart. I wanted to get, a cheap little watch. And the lady there, we're waiting for them to open it. And she just starts talking about brain surgeries that she's had. And it's like, in my mind, like, why? Why me? And it's like, for some reason, I feel people see me and go, I need to tell him my entire life story.
Yeah. You're a very approachable soul. You really are. And I think it's obvious. And given what you've been through, it's just all the more lovely to see, and it should be celebrated. It really should.
Jennifer, I needed to hear that. Wow, thank you.
Well, I'll say it anytime. I will say it anytime. Okay. A few other things that were coming through. I was seeing playing cards. Root vegetables were coming up. Carrots. I don't know if someone had a garden or like if stew was a certain special thing. And moving a lot was another impression that was coming
These
through.
are all the times I've moved from New Jersey to Virginia, from Virginia to Brooklyn, back to New Jersey, from New Jersey to Los Angeles, and then back to New Jersey. So a lot of moving, yeah.
Okay. And did a lot of that happen like during your childhood? And it feels like it's not just you. It feels like this is a family relocated a bit. But at the same time, they still feel like they were all very close to each other.
It's weird you would mention that because when we have my aunt Helen is in Los Angeles. Me and my grandmother moved there. Then my dad followed us, and then my other aunt came there and followed us, which is weird because my Aunt Nancy, when I was younger, living in New Jersey, her family lived in Washington, D.C., super close to Jersey. So, yeah, we all kind of went west together.
Okay. Yeah. I can feel that. It's like this spring effect of separation and coming back. And it's almost like it can't be helped. It's just needs to happen.
Yeah, and again, like now, my sister lives maybe a mile from me. My uncle lives 3 miles from me. I have a lot of first cousins. They're all basically driving distance because, we're a very close-knit family.
Mm-hmm. Your grandmother is piping up about your sister a little bit. Your grandmother has this memory of your sister doing little sing-song things and playing pretend and just, with her toys and just kind of watching your sister doing her little pretend thing and just how she thought it was so precious. So if you could pass that along to your sister, that your grandmother just has this warmth that she's extending to your sister. And again, she's treating her like a child still. Like that she's showing me your sister as a little girl. That's really interesting.
Well, probably because the last time we were all together, prior to moving back here, she knew Nancy and Amanda, my sisters, as little girls.
Okay.
So, when we moved back, they were adults, but her best memories of them, I guess you can say, were as little girls.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I do have a couple of messages that I wrote down for you from the collective.
Okay.
Make the most of your opportunities, as in don't hold yourself back. Don't talk yourself out of it. if there's something that you really want to explore or try, or you just know you're going to be good at, don't tell yourself the reasons why it's not going to work. Okay? Really explore those opportunities with an open heart and try it before you decide. You can always say no later, but try it first. So make the most of opportunities. Don't let things fall to the side. But at the same time, it's good to have a balance. Try to guard against burnout by taking some rest. So it's about finding that balance of what you're putting your energy into, and also the importance of, I can't burn myself out. I have to schedule rest as well. Okay. And those two things are very important, and the balance there would be really helpful for you. Does that resonate with you right now?
Completely, yeah. I mean, my business partner and I, who you were on the show with, we usually say yes to a bunch of stuff. My thing is I say yes, and then I do get, oh my God, like today with some of the work I have to do for this audiobook we're producing, I made a simple little mistake with a Word document, and I didn't scroll down right, and I went through this catastrophic event, like, oh my God, this is all wrong. Then I realized, oh no, I have to scroll down. But I went to nuclear bombs dropping, paranoid level.
Yeah. So I think when you're feeling that overwhelm, don't fight against it. Like, say, okay, this means I do need to slow down, or I need to rest, or again, we've talked about like thinking about things. Even when we're not doing them, it takes a lot of mental energy to keep up. So it's like, make sure that you're aware that your brain needs the rest, and if you're not working on it right now, perhaps you shouldn't be thinking about it either.
Maybe I think this fits into it. I have this rule with myself that when something sad happens, I acknowledge the feelings for however long it might need to be, a day, 3 days, but then when it's done, I get back up. I don't I do suppress some stuff, like, getting angry. I might, we all have our outbursts at times, but I do build a lot of stuff up. But when it comes to certain feelings, like if I'm sad, okay, hey, I'm sad about this. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to lay down and, die, but I'm going to process this. I'm not going to... I own my feelings is what I'm trying to say.
Good. Yeah, that's the way to be. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Erick. This has been so
great.
moving.
Thank you.
and just so wonderful. I do ask my guests if they have a personal ghost story. Do you have a ghost story you would like to share tonight?
I do.
Listener ghost story.
About 3 years ago, my business partner and I, Larry, right near the end of the pandemic, around 2021, 2022, we ran a paranormal and horror film festival at this town called Nauvoo, Illinois, at this place called the Cambrai House. So it was a really cool concept. You got your horror movies in the daytime, then at nighttime there were ghost hunters, stuff like that. So they also do weddings at this area. Now they have this little barn area where they would do weddings, and they did a paranormal thing there, like experiments with the all the gadgets and stuff. I'm not sure how I feel about the gadgets for supernatural investigation. That's another show. So they did a whole thing about it. Now, I'm not going to talk about the stuff falling. They did a thing where everybody would walk from the mini barn back to the house with all the lights out and everything like that. Now, me being me, I'm like, I'm from Jersey. I make horror movies. I'm going to show all these guys. I'm going to go last. So I'm alone in this mini barn. And you know how in movies sometimes you see like the like a hallway will be moving forward towards the person. That started happening. And then when I was walking alone, I heard a little kid run past me. Come to find out, there is a little kid that haunts that area, and more to it, we had another friend who was going to come with us, but she started having nightmares about a little boy. And when she described her dream to the owner of the Cambry house, yeah, that's the kid who's there. Wow. So, yeah, it was terrifying. I normally don't use profanity, but that night, yeah, it was pretty loud too.
Wow, it sounds incredibly creepy. And
oh, yeah.
You got your horror experience, certainly.
Yeah, it's like I decided I'm much happier scaring people than getting scared.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Oh, wow. What a great story. Thank you so much, Erick. This has been absolutely fabulous. Also, you mentioned podcasting earlier. Do you want to talk about your podcast? Share what your current projects are?
I'm going to share the two main podcasts. There's the Something Something podcast, which is our entertainment podcast. But then there is the Something About the Unknown podcast. That is our supernatural, crypto, UFO, pretty much anything about the unknown. And that's available on every single podcasting platform. We had you on a few weeks ago, and that was a lot of fun. We're still slowly getting that going again because the third host of it, I don't know how much she wants her stuff out there, but she's trying to get back where she could come on the show. So, yeah, those are my two podcastings. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, it was wonderful to be a guest and talking about mediumship on that episode. And I invited you both to be a guest and get a reading on I Talk to Ghosts. And here we are making it happen.
This was great.
Yeah, it's just really great to have the conversation with you about mediumship and then offer you the reading as well and see what comes up. Just fascinating.
It was great. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Would you like a free spirit reading with me and record your reading for the podcast? Sign up for your chance to be selected by visiting italktoghosts.com/guest. And as an added bonus, if you don't want to leave your reading up to chance, I'll let you in on a secret. There's a discount offer to book a private session with me, so you can book a date and time for certain. Visit italktoghosts.com/guest for more details. Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. I have a message from the spirits this evening, so thank you for being with me at my seance table. Tonight as I work, I have with me a really special stone. I recently came across this and I'm so glad to have it in my life. It is a combination of ruby and kyanite. Ruby is really good for emotional healing, as well as warding off negative energy and promoting mental and emotional clarity. And kyanite, I really love to use to balance all of my chakras. So this is a very lovely stone to have with you if you consider yourself a healer or an empath. It really helps just balance your energies and also provide a little bit of emotional support. So that was ruby and kyanite. Grounding and centering, opening the space for a spirit to come close. There is a man here with me. Feels like brother energy. He is sharing with me that he had a lot of mental anguish in life. His mind, he's saying, was not the kindest place to him. He was always struggling with his own thoughts and admittedly lashed out at others who were close. And I think he is coming forward to bring this to light a little bit and to offer his enlightenment on it now. He is sharing that he has a sense of clarity since his passing. I see this, I witness this very often. And he wants to acknowledge how difficult he was to himself and others and to you. Of course, you loved him dearly, but sometimes the relationship just had a lot of conflict and it was hard to navigate. And he wants to own that. He's showing me a younger memory. I'm seeing the Slinky Dog from Toy Story. Of course, that's a real toy in real life as well. I think not only did he have that Slinky Dog toy, but you had a dog that resembled that type of dog. And that dog also had a toy stuffed animal of that type of dog as well, and would carry it around and it would squeak. So there's just this amplification of that type of dog and that type of toy. And it feels like there's a lot of humor around this. I hear him laughing about it. So hopefully you can connect that detail as you're hearing me. His message for you tonight is, of course, acknowledgement of the challenges that you knew for him being in your life. And he hopes that this provides a little bit of healing for you in the process of hearing this. And it feels like he wants to elbow you a little bit lovingly about the relationship that you're currently in that is so opposite of how he was in life, and that he sees you happy and he just wants to give you a nod and a brotherly hug. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I hope this message finds you well, and if it connects for you, please let me know. Thank you. Are you enjoying your spooky visit? Please support the podcast by liking, sharing, and subscribing. The ghosts may be talkative, but they are lousy at marketing, so every click helps. Tell your friends, and please leave a kind review so that others may join us. The spirits and I thank you. And with that, dear listener, we've reached the end of this episode of I Talk to Ghosts. I hope you've enjoyed my spirit work that I shared with you this evening, as well as those tales of haunted dolls. Have you had an encounter with a haunted doll? I would love to hear about it, so please reach out and tell me. In the meantime, wherever you wander off to in this world or the next, just remember, come back and visit with me. Have a lovely evening and good night.